In Operation Midnight Hammer, 125 U.S. military aircraft collectively attacked Iran's nuclear facilities at Fordow, Natanz, and Isfahan. Around 2 a.m. on June 21, 2025, 7 B-2 Spirit bombers entered Iran from the Mediterranean Sea, passing over Israel and Iraq, and attacked Iran's nuclear sites. After these attacks, the entire world's attention was on Iran's retaliation. There are more than 24 U.S. bases throughout the Middle East, and it was feared that Iran could target any of them. And then, 2 days later, that's exactly what happened. Iran attacked the U.S. Al-Udeid Air Base in Qatar and the Al-Assad Air Base in Iraq. However, this wasn't the first attack on American bases. Iran has attacked American bases and assets many times in the past, and once even crippled an entire U.S. warship. Let's look at those 4 past incidents, when Iran openly inflicted heavy damage on America. Welcome once again to Dark Venture Videos. Viewers, on January 3, 2020, the U.S. carried out a drone strike at Baghdad airport, which killed Qasem Soleimani. He was not just an Iranian general, but also Supreme Leader Khamenei's most trusted man, and the most powerful piece on the Middle East chessboard. The news of his death plunged Iran into a state of mourning, and now Iran decided to take revenge. While people thought Iran would only make noise, Iran decided that this time the response would be directly with missiles. Iran openly threatened America, saying that America had killed their commander, and now it would have to pay the price. Al-Assad Air Base in the western region of Iraq is a very important American base. Just 6 days after this attack, on January 8, 2020, at 1:20 a.m., dozens of Fateh and Qayyam ballistic missiles appeared in the sky and rained down on the American airbase like fire. Iran's attack was so targeted that these missiles pinpointed fuel depots, aircraft shelters, and command posts on the American base with pinpoint accuracy. And the most surprising thing was that not a single missile missed. America had received intelligence beforehand, and soldiers had gone into bunkers. But the missiles devastated the base. Hangars, runways, barracks, everything was reduced to ashes. Initially, the U.S. claimed there were no casualties, but later it was revealed that more than 100 American soldiers suffered traumatic brain injuries. Their nervous systems were shaken. Many soldiers' vision blurred, and many fainted. But Iran's audacity became visible to the world when Iran openly claimed responsibility for this attack and said that this was just a warning, and if they advanced further, there would be an even bigger attack. America initially tried to downplay the impact of these missile attacks. Donald Trump, who was then in his first tenure as President of America, tried to suppress the matter by saying, "All is well." But on the ground, satellite images, soldiers' videos, and before and after visuals exposed everything. Iran also said at that time that if they had wanted, they would have targeted the American soldiers' barracks, but their aim was not to take lives, but to make them realize. After this attack, the world was stunned to see that Iran openly rained missiles on an American base, and America remained a silent spectator. A year before this, a similar incident occurred when Iran gave a befitting reply to America. During a peaceful night in June 2019, a U.S. drone, the RQ-4 Global Hawk, worth 6,000 crores, entered Iranian airspace. But within just 20 seconds, Iran turned America's pride into ashes. What happened was that in 2019, tensions between America and Iran had escalated significantly. At that time, Donald Trump was also the President of America, and he had imposed strict sanctions on Iran. Other countries were forbidden from buying oil from Iran. Because of this, Iran's oil exports became almost zero. Iran was not silent due to these sanctions either. Oil tankers in the Persian Gulf were secretly attacked by Iranian proxies. America decided to use a spy drone to monitor military movements inside Iran. The U.S. Navy's RQ-4 Global Hawk an unmanned drone, entered Iran's coastal waters. The drone's job was to monitor every enemy movement from the sky and report directly to U.S. command. This drone was flying at 60,000 feet in Iranian territory, where ordinary air defense systems don't even work. Iran used its third Korned missile system to lock onto the drone and fire. It was beyond America's imagination that Iran's missile system would work up to 60,000 feet. The result was that the missile hit the center of the drone, and the sky above the Persian Gulf lit up with fire. According to Iran, this drone had entered 15 kilometers inside their maritime border. But the U.S. claimed that the drone was in international airspace. Initially, Trump threatened air strikes on Iran, but then no air strikes occurred. Let's now go to 1987. During the Iran-Iraq War, tensions in the Persian Gulf escalated greatly. Iran was targeting Kuwaiti oil tankers in the Persian Gulf, which threatened to create an oil crisis worldwide. This was when America launched Operation Earnest Will, in which U.S. Navy warships protected Kuwaiti oil tankers and escorted them safely to the Arabian Sea. This year-long operation was the largest U.S. naval convoy operation since World War II. But despite America's operation, tensions did not decrease. Then America allowed Kuwaiti oil tankers to be reflagged. This meant that the Kuwaiti flag on several Kuwaiti tankers was replaced with the American flag. And then it was announced that if Iran attacked a ship flying the American flag, it would be considered an attack on America. Iran tolerated it for some time. But then on October 16, 1987, it could no longer bear it. The MV Al-City was one such Kuwaiti ship that had been reflagged as American. Iran launched a Chinese-made Silkworm missile, which hit the ship's bridge directly. This was a 3,000-kilogram subsonic missile capable of hitting targets up to 120 kilometers away. At that time, there was no U.S. Navy warship near this ship because Iran usually did not target reflagged ships. This was the first attack by Iran on any American-flagged ship. In this attack, 18 crew members were injured, and the ship's captain, who was a U.S. citizen, lost both his eyes due to facial injuries. Attacking an American flagship meant that Iran had challenged the confidence of the superpower. In retaliation, the U.S. Navy destroyed 2 Iranian oil platforms in the Persian Gulf 3 days later. At that time, these 2 oil platforms were not producing oil, but the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps was using them for military purposes. Now let's find out how Iran destroyed a U.S. Navy warship. During Operation Earnest Will, Iran used a method in the Persian Gulf to destroy oil tanker ships, which also sank a U.S. Navy warship. Iranian naval forces laid a network of mines in the Persian Gulf. These mines did not float on the water because if they were on the surface, they could be easily bypassed. These mines were tied with chains, an anchor weight was attached, and they were thrown into the water by speedboats. The length of the chain was kept such that the mine floated 5 meters below the surface, because the hull of large ships is 10 meters below the surface. This meant that the mine would only explode when a heavy ship passed over it. On April 14, 1988, during Operation Earnest Will, a U.S. Navy-guided missile warship called the USS Samuel B. Roberts had just arrived to participate in the operation when it became a victim of an Iranian contact mine in the middle of the Persian Gulf. The hull of the U.S. Navy ship was ripped open by 21 inches. The engine room flooded, and 2 turbines were damaged. A $500 mine crippled a $100 million ship. After this attack, a thorough search of the area revealed an entire network of Iranian mines laid by the U.S. Navy. For days later, U.S. forces retaliated against Iran. U.S. ships, aircraft, and troops destroyed 2 Iranian oil platforms and an Iranian warship named Iris Sahand. In this attack, 1 U.S. Marine helicopter and 2 pilots were killed. History has witnessed that ever since the pro-American government in Iran ended, despite imposing various sanctions on Iran and tightening the noose around them, they do not hesitate to respond to a superpower like America. What are your thoughts on this matter? Do let me know in the comments section. I hope you will like and share this dark venture video a lot. See you in the next amazing video.